Hi everyone, it's Tom Panos here. I've got with me Tony Williamson from Remax in Cairns, one of the lead officers in North Queensland, only been operating 2 years. Tony, welcome.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks.
Tony, I deliberately wanted to have this interview because in 2 years you've gone in there and totally dominated in the marketplace. You work in Cairns, very aggressive, and you've done it in a short period of time. What makes a good real estate agent in a market that's so hard at the moment?
Yeah, Tom, our market is a bit upside down. What we've found is that the agent that comes to work with not just a positive attitude, but a powerful attitude. You know, like an attitude of like, okay, regardless of what I've read in the paper or what I've seen on the TV or what I've heard from my mates or my partner, I'm going to go to work today and I'm going to be above all that. So these guys have got to come to work, guys and girls, and just sort of really perform, really step up and get on stage.
So to you, even though the market's been hard, what's that to have changed is the attitude of the people working in the market?
Yeah, well, the market is the market, okay? We can't change the market. All we can change is our response to the market. So we continually train and motivate and educate our staff to say, listen guys, it's tough out there, but you just got to be tougher. You've got people with real problems, with real losses that some people are losing 50% of their money in 3 short years, and we've just got to be above all that. We've got to be the practitioner. It really is hard.
So for the viewers out there, Cairns is a marketplace which relies very much on discretionary income, and you're saying that some homes have dropped 40%?
Yeah, we've seen 30, 40, 50% just in the 2.5 years, 3 years since we've been open.
Okay. Were you a good salesperson when you were operating? Because you're a principal now.
Yeah, Tom, I've got a funny story with real estate. I started when I was very young and I learnt my craft. I learnt my craft in a very successful Ray White office back in the late 80s. But I think that's important that you actually do your apprenticeship as a salesperson, and I did it pretty tough. In those days, funny system was that the average price in Cairns was $80,000. 2.5% commissions meant we got about $2,000 commission in total. It went 90% to the selling agent, 10% to the listing agent. I was a good lister. Every time I listed something, someone else in the office would sell it. So 10% of the 2,000 went to the selling agent, and I was on 40%.
Right.
So I was making $80 a deal.
Right.
Okay, so that's when you learn your craft, when you're making $80 commission for every sale you do.
Okay, tell me, what did you learn during that apprenticeship in real estate?
I learned a few things. I learned that you had to take the hard knocks, and you had to also... One thing I suppose I did learn is that when I was going to create my office, it was going to be fair. 90-10 is ridiculous. Like you've got a good young person like me in the office that's a good listing agent that was losing, 9/10 of his sale to someone that could run a buyer. So I had to make an office fair, and I had to make it transparent, and I just had to make it a good place to go to work.
Right.
A fun place. That office wasn't fun. And the thing is, the reason I didn't leave it for so long is because I didn't know where else to go. I ended up leaving that office and going to university. I was that frustrated.
Okay, so you've gone to uni and you studied accounting, I think you did.
Yeah, I did commerce accounting, yeah.
Okay, so what happens next? You finish your degree?
Yeah, it's a funny thing, like no one prepares you for when you go to uni. I finished my degree and I thought, okay, what do you do now, Tony? The only thing I knew how to do was do real estate. So I went back to real estate and I did exceptionally well. Funny story was I thought I'd better go and get some tax advice. So I went to Price Waterhouse and said, guys, I'm making all this money selling real estate. And they asked me a few questions about my background. I said, I've just got a commerce degree, I've got this, I've got that. And they offered me a job on the spot.
Right.
So I thought, geez, this little man inside my head saying, well, look, you're not using your degree, you've just spent 3 years at uni. And, and these guys have made all these promises. So all of a sudden, gone from a successful agent to being an accountant.
Okay, so agent to an accountant. How long did you stay in accounting?
5 years.
Okay. And what made you leave accounting to go back into, because they're a decent firm, the firm you just talked about?
Great firm, great platform for me to learn to be an accountant. My wife and I were just sitting on the back deck strategising over Christmas time, strategising our way forward, and I said, well look, I really can't see myself owning an accounting practice, and I still got this real estate in my blood, and she said, well, why don't we go and open a real estate office? And dead set, I think I've told you this before, it was like the scene from Rocky 2 where Adrian, Rocky's wife's lying in bed unconscious. She wakes up and she goes, what are we going to do? And Rocky goes, oh, I'm going to give up fighting. And she goes, no, win. And Mickey, the trainer, goes, what are we waiting for? It was literally like that. I was like, what are we waiting for? Bloody hell. So I went and resigned as an accountant. Boom, went and bought a half share in a Century 21 franchise in Cairns.
Right.
And that was the start of the growth now.
You did well?
Did tough, did tough. There's a couple of light bulb moments that, like, end of the 90s in Cairns, once again, sticky market again. Had a good little office, had 5 salespeople, thought this is good, had a little rent roll, churning along. And then there was 3 distinct light bulb moments that happened around the same time. The first one was that the business had made $250,000 profit for the year, which ordinarily is pretty good. But then I thought, well, hang on, I did $500,000 in sales. And in Cairns in those days, that was over 100 individual sales, because the commission rates were so low. So I'd done $500,000 in sales, the business made $250,000 profit. So effectively I was a 50-50 agent in my own office.
Right.
And I thought that's not sustainable. The second thing was, there was a franchise salesperson that just came door knocking one day. And we just talked over a cup of coffee. And he said, Tony, what would your business look like if you had 50 salespeople? And Tom was literally, bloody hell. That was an aha moment, like the glass ceiling above my head just shattered.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the third defined moment around the same time is I came across Dr. Fred.
Yeah.
And Dr. Fred's a master at getting rid of all your self-imposed limitations.
Okay, so essentially you're saying you've gone through a journey of rewriting your agreement with reality, changed some self-limiting beliefs, developed as a person, succeeded on the inside to succeed on the outside. What happens next?
Well, I had a clearer vision. I put goals in place. I had every reason in the world to succeed. I invested in a coach. I just knew that I could do it.
Yeah.
I had this great finance background. I had just momentum within myself. So if I had momentum in myself, I thought, well, okay, we've got to get momentum in the marketplace. So I actually moved the office. I went out and recruited some quality people, and then all of a sudden, with my newfound desire, newfound direction, boom! All of a sudden, the business just went through the roof.
Okay, Tony, what makes a good salesperson? You've got a good helicopter view now because you've got how many people in your sales
We've got
team?
18 sales team. 18.
So they've got 18 salespeople.
Yep.
So you can see the good ones, you can see the bad ones, you can see the ones that sort of are just dabbling, hanging in there. What makes a good salesperson?
Yeah, it's a good question. I just believe it's their personal desire, and I think it's their ability to get back up. I think, there's a lot of times where you take some big hits in this job, and I think it's your ability to get back up and make that next call. And the other thing in Cairns, it's having a lot of courage.
Right.
Okay, that courage to go back again when that little voice inside your head saying, look, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Just don't do it. Don't annoy that guy again. Don't do that. Just to go back again and again and again and get that business.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is attitude and persistence and the ability to reject rejection and keep going is important.
Yeah, and also the ability to read and empathise with the client. If there's a guy that's paid $500,000 for his house and you're telling him it's worth $280,000, if he's dropped $220 in a relatively short time frame, you've got to be able to sit down with the guy and you've got to show value in the face of a bad situation. Because you've got to actually understand that there's a book. Have you read the book Death and Dying by Kubler-Ross?
I haven't read it, no.
It talks about the 5 stages of acceptance. It's a pretty gruesome book, but most of the medical profession read it. And the stages of acceptance talk about that when something bad happens, that people go through a process before they accept the new reality. And the first step that they go through is denial. So a lot of times when we're talking to a seller, Mr. Seller, the market's here, but you're here, they're saying, look, Tom, I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to, don't give me that rubbish. They're in denial. Right. But you've got to understand what they are in the thing, because the next stage is anger.
Right.
And so a lot of times when they're yelling at you, it's actually a positive sign because they're going through that stages of acceptance.
What's the next stage?
The next stage is bargaining.
Right.
Where they say, Tom, look, we appreciate it's worth $280, but couldn't we just leave it at $350 for a couple more weeks? And you've got to show them evidence again to show them that, hang on, guys, it's not worth $350. And then the next stage is depression. When they say that lovely line, we're not going to give it away. Oh, this is just dreadful. If that's what it is, just take it away.
Yeah.
And then the next stage is acceptance. And we do a lot of work on that. And we actually plot where our sellers are at so we can understand what they're going through.
Well, that's really interesting because I think you've just given us the breakdown, the science of vendor management and the processing that goes through a vendor's head. And it sounds like that good real estate agents in Cairns at the moment have to be great at having those crucial conversations, even though they feel uncomfortable. They are, in fact, going to lead to a happy result at the end.
Yeah, we also employ the doctor mentality. Like we say, what makes a good doctor? You go to 3 doctors, which one's the best doctor? It's the doctor that asks you the best questions, and the doctor that gives you the best, ideas to move forward to make you better.
Right.
And we have that doctor mentality as agents. We go there and we consult with the client, ask them a lot of questions, really pull out all the information so that we can give them a series of events that they can move forward.
Okay, I want to talk about the concept of the attraction agent. You guys are very attractive. You stand out. You're very media focused. You dominate our publication in Cairns, which is the main publication in that marketplace. You're obviously good at getting VPA as a business. What makes you different to other agents in the marketplace there?
Just to carry on my little story about before how I had that change with those light bulbs, like I ended up selling my business in 2006.
Yeah.
My wife and I retired, and after 4 years we came back to work. So we started up a business in 2010, just completely fresh, okay, completely fresh from start. And I realised that the way forward to grow my business and my marketplace was through a lot of marketing, a lot of print marketing, a lot of digital marketing. So what we did was we started right at the back of the bus, okay, and I wanted to get to the front of the bus. And the only way I could do that was by revolutionise how people were selling advertising in our marketplace.
Right.
So everyone was just selling the certain size ads because that's how it was always done. So I said to my guys that I had 2 recruits at that stage, I said, listen, our smallest ad is going to be the same size as our competitor's biggest ad, okay? And they're like going, oh, geez, we can't do that. We can't do that. This is going to be too hard to sell. The market's tough. We can't. Someone wants $200,000 for their house. We can't go get a $3,000 advertising package. I said, no, guys, look, if we're going to be serious about this and we're going to move from the back of the bus to the front of the bus, we have to sell marketing. The Cairns Post, the marketing model that we use in the newspaper, is actually the scorecard to the marketplace on how good we're travelling. So what we did, we started selling these big third-of-a-page ads. And before we knew it, we had 10 listings, 8 of them in the paper. We had over 2 pages of ads. And everyone started saying, geez, these guys are going good. Geez, these guys are going good. And we found that our profile was the best form of prospecting, Tom, because people were attracted to the business. All of a sudden, Remax had something going good, the office had something going good, and the sellers were saying, what are these guys doing? We want to be with them.
Our profile was the best form of prospecting. I love that. So basically, you'd built momentum. You were getting people calling you versus necessarily doing a lot of cold calling.
Absolutely, yeah. The actual Monday morning, we're getting phone calls from people saying, come and list my house. We see what you guys are doing. You've changed up the ads, your professional photos, you've taken it to another level in our community. Come and list our house. What
do you say to people out there that are watching this, and there's lots of young people that struggle with the concept of getting marketing, or struggle with the concept of getting listings, or just finding it really hard at the moment? What advice would you give to them, Tony?
Yeah, I think if you can get that right, that the number one form of prospecting is your profile,
yeah, and
if you can work on that, and if you've got no fear about selling marketing, we work for nothing until we get the thing sold, okay? And if you believe in marketing, if you believe in vendor-paid marketing, and if you believe in digital marketing and print newspaper, and if you're actually selling your own house, would you actually do it? Right. Like if I sold my house, I'd do a big campaign in the paper, a big campaign on digital, okay? So I've got no problem selling it to the people of Cairns because I know it's their number one way of attracting the best possible buyer.
Okay, can I ask you, we talked about a lot of positive qualities, can I ask you about negative qualities? I want to ask you about what is it that some people that just fluff around, they struggle, they're making $30,000 or $40,000 a year in real estate. What do they do wrong? I mean, I'm sure it's not what they want to be having as a result. What is it that they do wrong?
Look, I think the number one in our marketplace is that the guys run out of gas. That we always talk about, one of the KPIs that we always talk about is how much air's in your tyres. Like how pumped up are you today? When you come up the stairs at Remax, are you pumped up to do it? Some of the guys that have just come off, you can just see that they've actually deflated. Right. They're like the balloon that's lost the gas. They're just right. coming down, And you just say, listen, guys, I can't change you. I can inspire you. I can motivate you. But, and I can provide the environment that if you want to change, that you can change, but it's up to you to pump up your own tyres, You've got to come to work with a good attitude.
I know that that's one of your jobs, getting people to feel terrific about themselves being at work. You spend a lot of time doing training every day. What are the things that you encourage people to keep them not getting deflated, to stay motivated? What are some suggestions?
Yeah, we try, and the whole culture of the organisation is all about making money, having fun and going home. So we try and get that balance right as best we can. But we're really conscious on that power management. Not so much time management, Tom, but power management. And when you're on stage, you're probably on stage at a listing presentation or a buyer presentation, 3 or 4 hours a week. If you can't be on stage and pumped up at that time, you know, there's something wrong. You probably should be in another job, you know.
Yeah, you mentioned when we were having lunch a couple of weeks ago that you call them conversations more than appraisals or something to that degree.
We took the whole listing presentation thing away. We just go out and we consult, as I said, like the doctor. We go out there and, look, Tom, thanks for inviting me out today. You know, you've got a beautiful home, you know, let's talk. You know, let's talk. You know, tell me what's gone wrong. Tell me about your last experience with an agent. Tell me, how did you sell your last house? You know, tell me this, tell me that. And we extract everything out of you. And then I just say to you, Tom, look, your first decision, before we worry about marketing or price or anything else, is your choice of agent. I'd love to be, you know, I'd love to be your agent, but, you know, we need to talk that through to make sure that you're a good fit for me and I'm a good fit for you. So we'll let go of the outcome, you know, and it affects our income because it takes the pressure off the guy. And Tom, some of the best listing consultations / presentations we're doing at the moment are in our office.
Right.
So you ring up and say, listen, Tony, I'm thinking about selling my house. I'm getting 3 agents out. I say, great, Tom. What time can you come to the office? And you're like, hang on, it's about my house. I'm saying, no, it's not, Tom. It's about you and I working together in the sticky Cairns market to get you the best possible price. So it's just as important that you see my house as that I see your house. So come into the office, meet some of the team, meet some of the guys that are going to be working with me to get your property sold, and we'll have a chat.
Okay, and then step 2 is then you go to the property.
Well, at that stage, we list the house.
Without having seen it?
Without having seen it, absolutely. So we list the house, and then we go out and do the full property inspection. We do the pricing strategy, we do the marketing strategy, but there's no pressure on us because we've already got the house listed.
Okay, so what you're saying, Tony, is that this is about a relationship between an agent and a vendor, and then process, marketing, all that sort of stuff is worked out afterwards. It's about them feeling that you're the right partner in the marketplace.
Yep, I'm a strong believer in that. Like it's an alliance between the agent and the owner to get them the best possible price. We're a very vendor-focused office, you know. So we need to get the vendor in, and we need to get the vendor on our side, and we need to be on the side of the vendor.
Right.
Okay. There's still not a lot of sunshine for the vendors selling at the moment, so we need to be on their side and going forward. Totally transparent, full relationship.
Okay, Tony, finally I want to ask you, knowing what you know today about real estate, success, mistakes, the stuff that works and the stuff that doesn't, if you were meeting yourself again 10 years ago, what advice would you give yourself?
Yeah, look, I probably would have, I wouldn't have been so much influenced by friends and family. You know, I left the industry when I was a young fella to go and get a degree, and I've got no regrets on doing that, but that wasn't my decision. There were so many people saying, look, Tony, you're too smart to be an agent. Tony, you need to get a degree. Tony, you need to do this. And, you know, it just all weighed up, and then I listened to them and went and got the degree. You know, I think I would have just, if I had I don't know, if it was a better mentor or just better direction, you know, like I just got such a passion for real estate. I just love it, you know, and I've left it a couple of times to sort of pursue other things, thinking the grass was green on the other side, but the grass is not green on the other side. This is a wonderful job that gives you wonderful lifestyle, wonderful travel, wonderful choices, but it also gives you a good kick now and then, okay? And as I said earlier, it's not about how good you are, it's how quickly you can get up after you've been kicked so bloody hard.
Alrighty, Tony, thank you so much for coming in. It's excellent having you here, and for those of you that have watched this, some of the things that came out of it is the importance of attitude, persistence. We talked about the attraction business. We talked about your response time down, that you are going to be down, but it's the amount of time that you're down with. This has been Tony Williamson from Remax.
Thanks, Tom.